And a lot of the times affairs happen. A lot of the times it starts with emotional cheating. You're working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. Well, the first sign that there's a problem, I would say, is you keep attracting toxic relationships.
In a relationship that always ended up in chaos, in drama, and it's draining.
It's
To be
draining.
in that kind.
Yeah,
And
that's the second thing. Mutual respect of boundaries, number one. Two, the ability to be comfortable communicating your wants, needs, and desires with your partner. Having that honesty and respect is all together to me as one. In my experience, is not going to lead to a healthy relationship romantically if the foundation is not built on friendship. And you're spending majority of your time with your quote
with
unquote
other people.
work wife, female at work. You just happen to open up and say it. Now we start building this emotional connection.
Hi, welcome back to Bold Moves, the podcast where we empower women to be bold, be brave, and be you. I'm your host, Ayu. And today, wow, I just had a great conversation with someone. She is a relationship coach, but not just an ordinary relationship coach. She's also a therapist with a clinical master's degree in psychology. She also studied about marriage and family relationship. She's also specialized in trauma-informed care. Wow. You are going to learn so much today. Be prepared for it. So let's welcome her, Maya. Hi, Maya. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for your time today to be here, not in here with me, but in one day maybe.
Yes.
It's so great. We both are in the opposite part of the world. I'm in Bali and you are in LA, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's morning in here and it's at night in then. So how great is that? But yeah, thank you so much for doing this with me and let's just get started.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So you are a relationship coach and therapist with a clinical master's degree in psychology, but also specializing in trauma-informed care, right? But before we dig deep into it, as a context, just for the audience, can you start by sharing briefly about your coaching work right now or program? Who is it for? Who are you working with? The focus and things like that.
Of course. Yes. So in my coaching work as a relationship coach, my main focus is working with women who have experienced relationship trauma. So women who have been hurt in a relationship, it could be domestic violence. It could be just you got your heart broken. Any type of trauma dealing with relationships, I focus in that area. And I also work with couples as well who are struggling with communication and not knowing how to connect with one another. So my main focus overall is relationships. However, the majority of clients I have are women who have relationship trauma. And I utilize social emotional arts, so art-based activities and tools.
That's wonderful.
Along with therapeutic tools like emotionally focused therapy, which more so is body awareness, being aware of your body and knowing what your body is saying to you. What are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? So really getting more in touch with who you are and how you can become, your body awareness, living your best life and knowing what your body is saying to you so that you can really be your authentic self and not be like a people pleaser, for example.
Love that. I love the word authentic self. I love that part because I'm all about learning about authenticity and self-love, learning about yourself. And I think what you're doing by focusing on knowing more about me, what has happened in the past. And are you working with most of your clients are women, yes? And couples. How about now we're talking about what you do? Actually, let's move into understanding emotional healing and relationship as a relationship coach.
Yes.
So things that you do. You work with Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as well as the LGBTIQ community as well.
Yeah.
Using an approach called trauma-informed approach. Can you tell us a little bit about this approach so the audience can be in the same page? Because the name is trauma-informed approach. So it's just as a context. Yeah.
Yes, I feel that, everyone has their own understanding of trauma-informed care. But for me, what trauma-informed care means to me is being able to meet someone where they are, allowing someone to go through their healing journey on their own while respecting their boundaries, while respecting their cultural identity, and respecting where they're coming from, their lived experience, and not trying to tell them what to do, being cautious in how you move when you treat them, when you talk to them, and just respecting their whole entire experience as a person, which includes their culture and their identity, and being aware and informed. So if I work with someone who is from maybe a cultural environment, maybe I'm not too informed on, consulting with another clinician or a coach and saying, I'm working with someone from this culture. I'm not that well, informed on it. Can you please help me? Doing my own research and never expecting the client to educate me, because that's not their job.
That's beautifully said, because I can understand that really well. Instead of just, I think audience would do, what's trauma-informed care?
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to understand, so it's an approach that recognize their story, their trauma, for example, towards their person's behavior or their emotions, or maybe how they build relationship as well, by creating, I might say, a safe environment around the person, like safe emotionally and physically as well.
Yeah.
By, like you said, by building the trust. And I guess the way to do it is listening and non-judgmental approach and just being the person without telling them what to do.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's like respecting their lived experience and being mindful of what it is they may need by asking them and not assuming, and checking in with them. Like, are you okay? What do you need support in? How can I be supportive of you? How can I make this space more relaxed for you?
I like that approach. I totally agree, because a lot of people that don't understand trauma itself, sometimes when someone come to you, not as a coach, just like a normal situation in the family or a gathering or when you're friends, people do not understand that trauma can help you actually to build relationship, either healthy one or unhealthy one.
Yeah.
So I think the way you the trauma-informed care, being non-judgmental, and then I think saying that the person knows the story better than us.
They do.
Because a lot of people, move on. I mean, it's in the past already, but they don't know how the effect or the impact of trauma can actually impact their day-to-day lives, right? In terms of that situation. So I think being kind and non-judgmental, that is perfect. And I love your approach already, because it's not like, for example, I come to you, I'm going to tell you what to do, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That is, and you don't know my story, for example, my background story, my childhood, for example. So I love that already. And talking about the emotional healing and relationship, like this is, I'm talking couples or romantic relationship. What does emotional healing, when you are emotionally healed, have to do with building healthy relationships? Is it important for people to be healed, to heal their wound?
Yeah, there's two parts to that. So, first, is it important for someone to be healed prior to being in a relationship? Absolutely. However, healing is also a constant journey. as
Sure.
well. So it's not where someone can say, oh, I'm healed now and now I'm ready to date. So healing is a process and it can be a lifelong process.
Mhm.
However, you know that you're healed in a way to be able to make these healthy relationship decisions when you're not exercising the same patterns that you did in the past. So when you're operating at a high frequency vibration, you
Mhm.
are not going to tolerate someone disrespecting you, number one. Number two, you're going to have boundaries and you're going to know how to exercise those boundaries and speak up for those boundaries because your healing is at a place where you know that you're not going to tolerate anything that's going to
Mhm. I
disrupt
love that.
your peace. So you know when you're healed enough to be in a relationship with another person if you recognize that you're starting to not tolerate the way you used to allow people to treat you. And now you're
Mhm.
just stepping back and saying, you know what? In my body, I feel something is not right. And you're able to just easily say, I'm stepping away. I'm not going to do
All
this
right.
because you're disrupting my peace.
That's beautiful. The way you say it, and you mentioned about higher frequency
Mm-hmm.
vibration as well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people do not realize that there is something yes, I need to heal this part of me. They don't realize it's actually, part of their trauma or their life experience, not helping them creating healthy relationships. And they keeping in that loop, like
Yeah.
being unhealthy relationship, jumping into one to another. For
Mm-hmm.
someone who's wanting to start or just starting their healing journey, because again, like you said, I agree, it's a constant journey, could be a lifelong process.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think they should start? Because if they're not too aware about what's happening, but then it's just difficult for some people to understand that their past is actually a bag that they can carry, which
Mm-hmm.
is going to affect their future relationship.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Well, the first sign that there's a problem, I would say, is you keep attracting toxic relationships, or every
Mm-hmm.
time you get into these relationships, it ends bad, or you keep
Yeah.
attracting guys who are cheaters, you keep having arguments. Every time you get in a relationship, it's always ending in disaster. And it has to come to a point where you have to stop blaming other people and saying, oh, all guys are dogs or
Mm-hmm.
all guys are bad. Or
Yeah.
you have to be able to look at a pattern because it can't always be the other person's fault. When you're seeing a pattern of negative, toxic, or unhealthy relationships, it can't just be that person's fault. Now we have to do some accountability work and look within.
True.
So that is the first sign. You are noticing there is a whole line of relationships in your past that just are never healthy. That's a sign
Because
that
you
you
keep
need help.
asking, why am I keep attracting this kind of guys, girls? And
Yeah,
so that is the first sign when you
yeah.
are in a relationship that always ended up in chaos, in drama, and it's draining
It's
to be
draining.
in that kind of relationship.
Yeah,
And
that's the second thing. You always feel like when you're around people that you're dating or talking to, and by the end of the night, now you feel like somebody literally has sucked all the energy out of you.
yeah, that's actually really good topic to talk about, because
Mm-hmm.
I talked the other day with another woman, like in a 20 years of marriage. So 20
Mm-hmm.
years, she didn't realize that it was toxic for her.
Wow.
And imagine, well, 20 years relationship is long. I'm married for 9 years this January. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, wow, that's a long time to realize that I am in a toxic relationship. I didn't know. And she called herself like, I was stupid. I was weak. And then,
Mm-hmm.
kept blaming herself after that. But
Mm-hmm.
now that she's learning how to heal herself.
Yeah.
It's just different how how she sees everything, the
Yeah.
past relationship. She's actually saying to me, how do you see it right now? Well, I send love to him. I don't hold any grudge. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that is amazing. And then
Mhm.
I think what you say is actually what self-awareness,
Yeah,
right?
it is. And because the healing that she has to do to forgive her partner, it's not about them, it's about her. So she held on to that pain and anger. It's going to hurt her more than it's going to hurt that person that she used to be with. So she has
Mhm.
to release it.
Okay. Talking about, because you talk about taking responsibility, accountability,
Mm-hmm.
instead of pointing fingers.
Yeah,
A lot of people do that.
they do.
Because of him. But actually, when you have a client that do not realize it's theirs, like come to you, I keep having this. And then you start to see it. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually not them, it's you. And then how do you make them realize it? I
Oh,
mean, with a trauma-informed care, because you cannot say it's you, girl. Like,
no,
what
I
would
would
you
never
say?
say it that way. But you know what?
Uh-huh.
It is something that happens almost every single week, believe it or not, when I have a client. It's always the couples with individuals. And what they'll always end up saying to me, they'll be like, Maya, oh my God. You can see them being triggered. You can see them being triggered. And it's like, I had one of my clients be like, Maya, I'm mad at you. And I was like, why are you mad at me? And it was like, because you just made me take accountability and you made me wake up and realize that this is something I'm doing, you
Mhm.
know? And I've even had a couple that they had to like skip a week of a session with me because they said that they were just
Oh.
like so blown away that after being together for 10 years that they didn't even realize what was happening. And they were just like, just literally blown away of the realization of me calling them out on some things that were happening, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And I feel like it's amazing to me because I feel that it's a gift, it's a talent when you're
It
a
is.
coach or a therapist and you're able to hold people accountable and they allow you. Because the thing is, the real gift too is someone is allowing you into their vulnerability space like that. They're
Mm.
allowing themselves to be vulnerable with you and they're trusting you enough to say, this is what's happening. And then they're trusting you even more when you hold them accountable and they don't run away and they still come back.
Because they start to see the dot. Probably was there any moments when you're doing this, the accountability part, they were like, no, like that's impossible. But then they come back to you. Was there any moment when they just, no, that's not me? Denial, denial, denial. Was
Oh,
there
yeah.
any lot of people or yeah?
I want to say a lot. It doesn't happen as often, but it has happened. And when I have clients like that, what I do is see the way you know you have a good coach or a good therapist is they're zeroed into you. So they will pull out
Oh.
words that you have said in situations that you spoke on, and they will remind you of them. So if you're not paying attention enough, you can't catch them. So when you have a client that's like, no, no, I don't do that, or that's not my problem. And then I go back and I say, well, you just said to me last week, blank, and then you did blank. So is that really what it is you're meaning to say? Because you're telling me that you are not doing this. And then they'll get quiet because
Of
they got
course,
called
I
out.
would too.
They got called out.
Because that's the truth. The truth
Yeah.
is sometimes painful, but someone needed to say it. And then
Yeah.
they come to you as a coach as well as
Mhm.
therapist, because
Yeah.
you're not just a normal coach, just out of the blue. Oh, I'm the
Mhm.
coach, because you are also a therapist. You had a
Yeah.
clinical degree in psychology. So
Mhm.
you understand so much more. It's not just about the problem itself, but you want to tackle what's happened under the
Yes.
rooting part,
The
which is
underlining.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
the cause of the whole chaos and, well, the whole drama. I think we need more coaches like that, understanding the brain as well, because I think when you study psychology, especially clinical psychology, you understand what happened in there and what you stored from the past, and your behavior. How do you treat your romantic partner, etc., etc. And I think that's a good one. That's a sign of a good coach.
Yeah.
They're telling you the truth.
That I'm wasting your money. If I am not holding you accountable, if I'm not calling you out on anything you're doing, you should fire me because you're wasting your money.
Love that.
And I'm disrespecting you, essentially. I'm wasting your time. I'm wasting your money. If you're not triggered by the end of at all, a whole month we work together, you're not triggered at all, you shouldn't come back.
Because it's your job to actually find that triggers and make them realize, look, that's your trigger.
So we can have the change happen. The change has in order for you to change.
And then self-improvement. So you can start to improve on yourself. Oh, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. I love this part.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to know what happened to you. What is it? Which is you call self-awareness, understanding your body awareness as well. You mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then once it hits you, and
now you're triggered. Now you're activated, you're triggered, and your body is like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then your brain, something in your brain clicks and it's like, whoa. And then a shift happened.
That's really good. I love that part because you explain it easy. Because sometimes to be able to understand brains and everything, sometimes the terminology is difficult.
Yeah.
But the way you say it, the word trigger, you don't just use it as the word trigger, because what I see right now, people use the word trigger in different contexts. And then you use it. If the coach is not triggered you, then you should fire them.
Yeah.
Once you get triggered, then the shifts happen.
Yes, exactly. That's my opinion. That's my feeling. That's my approach.
I agree.
And that's just my experience. And I feel that the years that I've been working with clients, I noticed that no change happens unless the clients that I work with, unless they're not triggered, I don't activate anything inside of them. They're just going to continue with the same patterns.
Yeah, because nothing is changing if you're not changed. That's what I realize. I mean,
yeah.
So still in a relationship topic, you're a relationship coach and therapist, what a healthy relationship can look like for you, your perspective.
Yeah. The first three things that pop up to me is boundaries, mutual respect of boundaries, number one. Two, the ability to be comfortable communicating your wants, needs, and desires with your partner mutually. Both of you can do that. And the third thing that sticks out to me the most is, I would say, having that honesty and respect is all together to me as one. Being able to say, I respect this person. I can be honest with them, even if it's a difficult conversation or something happened. I can have that conversation because I respect that person. I respect them more than anything.
Yeah. I agree with those.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And I would say one more thing is, if you don't have a foundation of friendship, that to me, that is not, in my experience, is not going to lead to a healthy relationship romantically if the foundation is not built on friendship.
Look, I love that. You just said, I totally agree with that. And we need to hear this more. So to everyone who's watching, we just talk about a healthy relationship can look like. So first is actually having that boundaries, right? And then the second one, communication that can feel comfortable to communicate your desire, wants, and needs. And then what was that? The third one, the honesty and transparency
and respect. Having that respect and honesty go hand in hand.
And then the fourth one is foundation of friendship. I love the last one because that's what based on my experience, that's what I have right now with my partner right now. So we build that foundation of friendship at the beginning. And again, like you said, because in my previous relationships, not really. And I didn't have the transparency before with the previous ones. But with my partner, since the beginning, since we met, we built that transparency. So, and also respect because we have different culture. I'm from Indonesia and he's from another part of the world, which is Colombia. The culture is, it's very different. And then that part of respect is actually our pillars in our relationship, because respecting his culture, his family, the way he does things, and then he does the same to me. And that's why I think my relationship right now is a healthy relationship, because we build that based on the four things that you just said. And it hit me again. Even I'm not your client, I got and it's true, because the honesty, the transparency, and I'm comfortable communicating what I want. Look, if I have a trouble before, look, I need you to listen to me. So I'm comfortable to say that. I don't want you to give me a solution. Like I had the worst days today so far. And also the boundaries. I'm just translating this into my relationship because it's more real if you do it that way. Boundaries. We talked about boundaries before we got married as well. Like, for example, about having an affair. We talked about that a long time ago. What would happen if one of us is cheating or do something like that? So we talked about that before we get into a very serious commitment of relationship. And we respect all of those points. Wow, you are really good. Like, it makes sense now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the foundation. That's how you know that you're in a healthy relationship, because you don't have these blockages of being able to just say what it is that you're feeling and thinking. And a lot of the times affairs happen because it always starts, well, I'm going to say always, a lot of the times it starts with emotional cheating. So if your partner is not your best friend, what happens is that you start relying on somebody for your relationship problems, because your partner is not your best friend. Now you have someone else you're going to outside of the relationship. And now you're opening up to that other person. Now you become emotionally connected to them. And then soon the physical cheating happens. But emotionally, you're already cheating.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Can you say more about what is emotional cheating? Like the definition of it for you. So people can understand that is emotional cheating.
Yes. So this is the thing. I'll give you a clear example. So let's say that I'm personally married, which is something that I would do with my own husband. Having the boundaries, number one, saying, if we physically went to work, I would not feel comfortable with my husband going out to lunch with a female without a group. Because a lot of the times what happens, especially at work, you ever heard of the, that's my work wife or my work husband? That's a very common thing. It happens all the time. And the reason why it happens is because people spend the majority of their life, a lot of the times, at work. You're working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and you're spending majority of your time with your quote unquote
other people,
work wife. So you're spending this time, there's a female at your job. You guys are just casually having a conversation. Before you know it, you and your wife have a disagreement and you feel so close to this female at work. You just happen to open up and say it. Now we start building this emotional connection. She feels safe with you. Like, you feel safe talking to her. You don't feel safe talking to your wife anymore, but you feel safe talking to this other person. You guys are going out to lunch. Before you know it, they touch your hand. Now you're feeling a rush of
No.
emotion. All of these
Mhm.
things are emotional cheating because you're building an emotional connection with someone and sharing your feelings, your thoughts, your desires with them, and you feel safe with them, right? You're starting to build a strong
Yeah.
connection with someone outside of your partner. So it's going to usually lead to physical cheating.
That is an explanation of emotional cheating, everyone. There is such a thing because
Yeah.
a lot of people say cheating is just physical, but
Yeah.
it started with emotional cheating. I think
Yeah.
what you said is just going to hit a lot of people because that's the
Yeah.
truth. When you spend so much time at work in the office with someone else,
Mhm.
8 hours times 5, 40 hours, and
A
sometimes
lot.
more,
Sometimes more.
right?
That's a
It's
lot of
a lot.
time.
And then you stuck in the traffic, you waited for traffic, so you do more extra time at work, and then you stuck in there. Well, long story short, you spend so much more time with other people that they call work wife whatsoever
Mhm.
or work husbands, and you start building that thing you said, emotional kind of like connection. You
It's
started to
emotional
talk about,
connection.
yeah,
Mhm.
what's wrong with you? Oh, my husband, dad calling all the, and then boom, before you know it, you've got that
Yup.
connection.
And then they're
Then
saying
you,
to you, that's not right. You shouldn't be treated that way. I wouldn't treat you that way.
uh-huh. Oh my God. Yes. And then it all started from there.
Mhm.
Oh my God, that's an insight. So, and I think that is true. Building a foundation of friendship in relationship is going to lead to a healthy
It's
relationship.
the foundation. It's the number one goal. And a lot of people don't see that. And
Mhm.
you know what? And I've had a situation, I remember I worked with a couple. Their foundation was friendship, which is odd because it usually doesn't
Oh,
happen this way. But they started off as friends, but for some reason their communication got rocky. I mean, so it's not nothing is a perfect solution, right? But the thing is that sometimes in relationships, you can start off with the friendship foundation and you lose the respect. That's why all of these things are connected. So yeah, starting off as friends is great, but you can't just stop there. You still have to be able to communicate, like I said, your wants, needs, and desires. You have to
mhm.
feel comfortable and safe to talk to your partner about what's bothering you. And if you're holding anything inside and you're telling other people, there's a problem.
There is. In fact, there is. So that's the sign when you see that relationship is not healthy anymore. It's not as healthy as before.
Yeah,
When there is a little bit doubt
there's some kind
for
of
you
block.
to say,
A
yeah,
block
like, oh,
has
should I say
happened.
it or not? Should I say it or not?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Now I've got different relationships coming into my, family
Mm-hmm.
and friends. I was like, oh
Yeah.
yes, oh yes. This is great. So we just talked about healthy relationship. How about boundaries though? This is what people telling me. How come we have boundaries? I mean, can you explain more about boundaries in relationship? Because I
Yes.
think a lot of people have misconception about
Mm-hmm.
boundaries in relationship. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So I can give an example.
Yeah.
When you're honest with your wants, needs, and desires, you can communicate things that you're uncomfortable with. So if we use that work wife type relationship as an example, um, let's say that there's someone who does not feel comfortable with their husband they have to go to work. They're going to work 5 days a week. They're 8 hours a day. And maybe they work with a lot of women, right? So the wife may say, one of my boundaries is I don't feel comfortable with you going out to lunch with one of your female coworkers without other people around. That's one of the boundaries that I would like us to have in our relationship. So that's a relationship boundary. However, it could also be a personal boundary, and a personal boundary in
Mhm.
relationship would look something like the husband could come home from work and say, one of my boundaries is I need to de-stress when I come in the house. So the second I walk in the door, please don't approach me with anything that happened throughout your day or a problem because I need a clear hour to be able to de-stress. That's a healthy boundary to communicate. A lot of times people won't say that. They'll come in the house, they'll be stressed, and then their partner will say something to them. They'll get an attitude, snap back, and then before you know it, they're arguing because they didn't exercise and communicate the boundary. I need space when I walk in the door because I need an hour to de-stress.
That is a perfect example that we all need to start doing, because it's also you taking care of yourself before you get into that because I say before you say hi or talk to your wife or your husband, because I need to take care of myself first, because it's been at work, and then now give me 1 hour to just decompress. And that takes that foundation to be able to say that, because if you say it the wrong way to your wife, she would be like, what, you don't want to spend time with me? And again, that's why the 4 healthy relationship foundation is really important, because they all work together. That's what thank you for that boundary thing. I think that people need to do more of that to be able to taking care of themselves too before starting to contribute into a relationship, into talking to your wife or talking to your husband. I need my time for myself so I can communicate better, so I can think clearer. Wow.
Yeah. It's important.
That's really... No, that is important. Look, as we're closer to the end of our conversation, I mean, I'm loving this session. I learned so much. And I think people will too, because relationship is really important. That's why you get probably a lot of clients, because people need help in building healthy relationship. And they need, kind of like a reminder that, it's not just them, it's also you, like you said before. So, look, before we're wrapping up, I have a question. I mean, just what's one message you'd like to share with the audience or listeners who feel like they are struggling to build a healthy romantic relationship?
First, I would say, don't think you can do everything on your own. Everyone needs help. So if someone would come to me, the first thing I would say to them is congratulations for being brave enough to come here, because it's not easy. It's not easy to ask for help. And congratulations for putting yourself first so you can heal, so that you can know your body, what you need, and what it is that you need to heal from in order to be able to have a healthy life, because now you're going to increase your lifespan. Now you have extended the time you can spend with your family and friends. And I'm ready to put in the work. Let's do this together. That's firstly what I would say.
No, that's beautiful. That is, Maya, you are a coach that we've been looking for. No, I'm serious. It's just makes sense the way you say it. It's just, it makes sense. I mean, you also know that I'm going to be kind to you all the time, but I'm telling you the truth. But again, with your way of communicating, people will take it. Oh yeah, instead of no. Well, some might, but I think what you're doing is amazing. I think what you're doing, I like it, because you mix this kind of like therapist and coaching as well, which not many people do. Everyone, if you ever need a relationship coach, here she is. And I recommend that. I would recommend you as that, because you are so much more than just a coach. You understand the whole approach. You understand the brain. You understand the trauma. And that is a whole package as a coach. And congratulations for that.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of you.
And I personally, I love coaching even more, because I feel with coaching, and I mean, I love the knowledge I received from the master's in clinical psychology. It helped me to be a better coach. However, I like coaching more because with coaching, you take out the stigma, which a lot of communities of color, they have problems with stigma, the
Mhm.
the stigma that comes along with a lot of mental health treatment and diagnoses. And so we take that out, number one. And number two, now I'm focused on a holistic approach to working with you. And we have
Mhm.
goal oriented plans. And it's not just something where we're just doing this for years. We have a plan to say, in the next 3 months, this is the transformation we want. And we're focused on this key area, versus with therapy, it's like, I feel it's more so if you have more complex trauma and you really
Mhm.
need that time to slowly go through like your whole lifespan of things to heal from, so
True.
they both serve their own purposes, right? But for
Yeah.
me, I enjoy coaching more because I have more freedom,
It's more
in it.
casual as well, and it's not too structured. You
Yeah,
you you can mix and match with the holistic approach, which I love
exactly.
as well. What's your pivot? It's very interesting. Your turning your turning point story to turn into a relationship coach is interesting. I remember you mentioned something about COVID in your story. Is it?
Mhm.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so basically during COVID, I had just graduated from UCLA during this time and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I had received a full scholarship from UCLA, so I was okay with rent. So this was the time for me to be able to figure out, do I want to get a job or do I want
Mhm.
to start my own business? And many people during COVID, they were trying to find a remote based business, which is what
True.
I did. And I wanted to think of something I can do to help people because I love being of service. I'm also an empath.
Of course.
So
Hmm.
I can really connect in a different way to people. I can really feel what they're going through. And I feel that that's the reason why people open up to me because I can be relatable to them. So
Hmm.
I started this wellness business during COVID to help people with their isolation struggles and depression, and also to help
Yeah, that
couples
time.
struggling with relationships, right? And I had no idea it would grow to what it is now. And I actually won an award from UCLA, a Bruin 100 Business Award, in
Hmm.
2023
Amazing.
for that. And so I expanded and went back to school and got my clinical master's in psychology with a focus in marriage and family therapy. And so now I'm more informed than when I started.
How great is that? I mean, you've been learning a lot, and I agree. During the COVID time,
Yeah.
although for some people it's like a slap on the face. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be isolated with my partner for 24 hours, for I don't know how long. And I've heard stories from horror stories from friends as well that their relationships kind of like becoming difficult when they have to
Mm-hmm.
see each other all the time. Because before it was just like, yeah, I'm going to work. And then you just go home and then spend some time, 4 or 5 hours, and then go to sleep and then repeat. Okay, moving on from that, the turning point, I'd like to talk a little bit about your inspiring journey before about scholarship and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because you mentioned you overcoming some difficulty before that, some living in a car, to
Mm-hmm.
earning a scholarship at UCLA, and
Mm-hmm.
then you take another course for marriage and family counseling, to
Mm-hmm.
becoming as well therapist, and then now a relationship coach, your
Mm-hmm.
own business from that situation to
Yeah.
this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just so, for me it's inspiring, and I think for
Mm-hmm.
many people will find it the same. Can you
Yeah.
share what that journey has taught you so far?
Yeah. So I would say that starting from the time I lived in my car, basically my reasoning for doing that is because I'm originally from California and I
Hmm.
moved back to LA in order to focus on my acting. That was my dream. I wanted to just do my acting, do
Okay.
TV and film. And during this time, see, a lot of people don't know this, but there are many actors, singers, people in the entertainment industry that live in their car. It's
Mhm.
actually the norm here. And people are just like, what? Are you
Oh,
serious? Like,
that's
yes,
something new.
yes.
All right.
But the reason why I personally did it is because I didn't want to live in an apartment that was unsafe. And I wanted to find an apartment that was clean in a nice neighborhood. And I just couldn't really find anything I really liked. And I wanted to save money to be able to pay
Sure.
for my acting, my headshots, and all the things I
Yeah.
wanted to do. And so that's why I chose to live in my car for that year. And it really did pay off. It was very hard. It was challenging.
I believe so.
But I had a community. I actually met other students at my school that were going through the same thing, and we connected and helped each other. If I didn't make those sacrifices, because that's really what
Yeah.
it was, I lived in my car as a sacrifice to do bigger and better things in my life.
Yeah, I understand that. Sometimes we have to
Mhm.
sacrifice some things to get better things. So we've got to sacrifice the old life to get the life that we wanted.
Exactly.
How do you manage to stay positive? Like, I'm going to get my dream. I'm going to do this. Because
Yeah.
that mindset sometimes can play
Oh, yeah.
really, really hard. And sometimes, so when your mindset in that low mode, what kind of like mindset shift or something that helped you to get through the difficult times in your life?
Yeah. Well, I prayed a lot for one. That was a big thing for me. I also connected with communities. I never stayed in my car for a long period of time. Like I would go there to sleep and that's it. But any other time I was on campus,
Connection.
I was volunteering on campus. I was with the Black Student Union, the Adelante, the Latinx Student Union. I was in all different types. I volunteered with the Boys and Girls Club. I was teaching theater to kids in after school programs. I was on set. I was constantly busy. So I didn't have
Doing,
time. Yeah, I wasn't just sitting around like, oh my gosh, this is so depressing. What am I going to do? I
yeah,
constantly kept moving all the time. And I had a community of friends who also were going through similar situations, and I leaned on them for support.
that could be very helpful for many people who
Yeah.
may feel stuck in their situation and circumstances sometimes. So first, you find the connection with other people. Support system is very important, I think, during this difficult time. And second one is the constantly doing things that helping you to reach your dream, for
Yeah.
example. I think that two things are really good. And then you made a good point there. I think sometimes we overthink it so much, like staying in the room, being alone, and constantly thinking about that. While what helps you is actually you're out there, you're looking for connection.
Yeah.
You're constantly doing something, being busy, focus on your dream, talking to people that give you positive input. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
I would say, even though the kids that I worked with, because I was also a theater teacher, a performing arts
Oh, yeah.
teacher as well in the LA Unified School Districts. And those kids there were just so inspiring. I worked with middle school students and they were just so loving and so kind.
Oh, thank you so much for your insight, for your time. I'm sure we were talking about, well, a lot of things about the healthy relationship, the emotional healing, self-awareness, understanding what's a healthy relationship is, and a lot trauma and everything as well. Thank you so much for your time. We talked in depth about this and I love it. I'm sure this will be valuable, beneficial for a lot of people who watch, because you're just great. Like, it's going to inspire people out there and realize, oh, that's what I do. But yeah, again, thank you so much for your time. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It was beautiful to be on and be able to talk to everyone that, that tunes into you so that I can reach a larger audience as well. Me being in California and you being in Bali, Indonesia, just a whole different part of the world. Like, that's
I know.
awesome to
Hopefully
me.
one day we'll meet somewhere, and
Yes.
that would be great. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for that.
Thank you.